Welcome, everybody, back to a brand new episode of the Translation Plan, your go to podcast for transgender history. As always, I'm your host, Mari, and it's an absolute pleasure to be back here with you all on this lovely Sunday, maybe morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are, but also depending on when I decide to actually post this podcast because I'm recording the day before. I got a lot going on Sunday. So I haven't really figured out like when and what time I'm going to post this yet. It's just more like let me get this knocked out because I know I'm not going to have time to do it tomorrow. I normally don't record on Sundays anyway. I normally try to record the day before, but sometimes that does happen. So, um, yeah, welcome. Before we get into today's content, and I also welcome my listeners. I would like to say Happy Transgender Awareness Week. For those who may be new to the community, or whether you're in the community, you just don't know too much, or if you are a ally of this podcast listening in, I'm going to give a brief background about what Transgender Awareness Week is. I'm also going to discuss Transgender Day of Remembrance as well, which happens on the 20th, which is next Wednesday, and just provide you all with a little bit more some resources where you can learn more about this week and how you can make an impact and be a better ally. So Transgender Awareness Week, which happens every single year between November 13th through, it's technically the 20th, but you may see the 19th. But the reason why is because the 20th is technically its own particular day. But between this week, the 13th to the 20th, it is a week when the transgender individuals and our allies actually take action to bring attention to the transgender community. Most of this is learned by education, like sharing general resources to the public to learn more about who transgender people are, right? So you may see content like mine, of course. You may also see from other trans influencers throughout this month as well, where they're just sharing, like I said, about who we are as a community. We share our stories. You may see a lot of stories on like GLAD or the Travel Project HRC. I'm not sure if they're doing that this year. I haven't checked just yet because I haven't been on my LinkedIn yet. Sharing our stories, our experiences, and also providing like ways that they can, like our allies can advocate more around issues of prejudice, violence, and discrimination that actually affect our community as well. So that's like the entire week itself. But then on the 20th, like I just said, of November as well, it's its own particular day where it leads up to Transgender Day of Remembrance, or TDOR, you may see as an abbreviation. Now, TDOR is an annual observance, that honors the lives and memory of our transgender family, people whose lives were actually lost in acts of anti-transgender violence for that particular year. So for this year, it'll be for the year 2024. I'm going to do a particular or a special episode, on Transgender Day of Remembrance. So keep an eye out for that. And I'm also, like I said, still going to continue on my normal schedule of recording on Sundays. But I do this every year of honoring the lives that we've lost on November 20th anyway. But I want to do a special podcast episode since this is now my baby. And say the names, talk a little bit more about them as well, why this day is extremely important, and all that good stuff. So that's what that episode is really going to consist of. From what I know, HRC reports that we have 28 lives that we've lost so far the year 2024. 29, 29. And to kind of give a little bit more context to this is that, yes, this number says 29. Although that's an accurate number, it's also what I like to consider to be a proxy, right? Where sometimes the lives of those who may be trans or gender expansive may not also be counted within this as well. So it actually could be a lot larger of a number, but we don't have the reports to actually provide that information sometimes because sometimes they're not reported. Sometimes some of these people don't know about these people's lives outside of what they may see during the day. So this number could be higher, but from what people identify as, what their family members or friends know them as well. Right now, the number is 29 for the year 2024. But like I said, I'll go a little bit deeper into this on the actual day for that bonus episode next Wednesday. But I just wanted to share you all with that number at the moment. For our allies, or um, for those like I said who may be new into the community, listen to this podcast and just learning more about yourself. Um, you can find resources, of course, on Human Rights Campaign. GLAD has a guide and kit that you can use as well for our allies to figure out ways that they can support during Transgender Awareness Week. The Trevor Project, as always. And one more resource I want to share that I actually just found while researching the content today. CNN, and I'm going to put this actual like news article in the episode description, so you can click on it and go straight there. It is a CNN news article written by Christopher Dawson, and it's titled "Transgender Awareness Week Reveals a Community in Crisis." It was written literally on the 14th, so this past Thursday, and it talks about providing resources, support, and really that's resources and support basically due to the election of Donald Trump for this year, right? So, as we all know, a lot of us in the community have fear. We have a lot of anxiety. We are worried about legal uncertainty, gender affirming care. How can we stay safe? And this news post written by Christopher literally provides you with every single resource possible that is known to man that we are aware of, that you can use. It has the name of the nonprofit or the organization that's willing to support. It has lines that you can call if you need additional support as well. It has literally everything in here based upon those subtopics that I just mentioned. So if you need this, and even if you don't need it right now, just still being able to have it bookmarked somewhere, either for yourself or like I said, for somebody that you may know, click on this link, bookmark it, share it out with whoever you want. Um, like I said, I'm going to post this even on all my social media so that people are aware of this. But use this resource as much as you like. Shout out to Chris for posting this. Like I said, literally this past Thursday to kind of start out Transgender Awareness Week and being able to provide enough information and a lot of information, as I just mentioned, for those who may need any of these resources at any time to be able to provide themselves assistance. All right. I think that's it for Transgender Awareness Week. If I'm acting on that. Yep. That's on my notes. Okay, cool. Perfect. So now that we're actually into the episode, my apologies. I want to thank all of my listeners here, whether you are new or returning. If you are new here, welcome to the Trans Plan podcast. My intros are normally never that long, by the way, just as a heads up. So I apologize in advance for that. But the Trans Plan podcast is a podcast that's not just about history. It serves as a platform for education. My job is to provide you with some valuable insights into the issues or the history that we face within the community. So I want to aim to inspire understanding, promote inclusivity, and also continue to spark conversations about the transgender community and get you something to further work with. Each of my episodes are intentionally designed to be concise yet comprehensive. So this might go over the 15 to 20 minutes today, but it's normally about 15, 20 minutes. Give you something to start with, and then learn more at your own time, really. So it's really like not like super high level where it's short, but high level enough to where, like I said, give you enough and you can learn at your own pace and at your own time as well. So thank you so much for coming and listening today. For my returnees, thank you so much for continuing to support the podcast. It means so much to me to hear the amazing feedback, for you all to continue to support my work and all things that I do for this podcast. Like I said, I apologize again from last week for the delay in releasing new episodes. Like I said, I'm back on track, back on getting my life together, of course. Yeah, I appreciate all the love and support that I do see very, very often, just as a heads up. So thank you. All right. I think Got my intros out. Let's see, transgender awareness week. Okay, yeah. I think okay. Let's get into today's content. So today we're going to be talking about a man by the name of Michael Dillon. Going to be diving into his incredible, remarkable life. As you will learn along the way how much of an impact he is to being a pioneer actually in transgender history. So let's get into it. So Michael Dillon, born in 1915, was a British doctor, author, and Buddhist monk. But most importantly, he was the first known transgender man to undergo phalloplasty, which for you all who may not know what phalloplasty may be, to kind of give a very broad answer to this, is basically changing your female parts, bottom parts, to male parts. Just in case I got kids listening, I don't want to get too graphic. So changing your bottom from female to male. All right. Hopefully everybody got that. All right, cool. Which is, like I said, at this time, a groundbreaking. It still is today for those who do get it, gender-affirming surgery. So Michael was actually born in Folkestone, England, where he lost his mother really at a young age, and he was actually raised by his aunts. Despite being assigned female at birth, Michael always felt a disconnect between his inner identity and his physical body. Now, this struggle would actually shape his entire life and lead him down a path of medical and spiritual exploration. Michael's academic journey began at Oxford University, where he initially studied theology before actually switching to classics. And it was during his time at Oxford that his passion for rowing, that he used to do actually, as like a side hobby, emerged, really leading him to join at this time where he was still identifying as female to join the women's boat club. Like now, I think it's like called the rowing club or something like that. Probably back then it was called like boat club. It's like we're talking about like the 1900s. And little did anyone know that Michael's passion of being an enthusiastic rower would soon embark on his actual journey to transitioning. So in 1939, Michael took a bold step that would change his life forever, right? He sought treatment from a doctor named George Foss, who actually prescribed him back in the day oral testosterone tablets. Now, I don't know if they still do this now, and I probably should look this up. But I probably would have preferred the oral tablets now than the needles. Like I do my own shots. So pros and cons, pros and cons. But I don't know. Let me see if they still do tablets. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like they still do oral testosterone replacement tablets. I don't know if that's good or bad, but they still do it. Okay, cool, nice. But yeah, sorry, I just sidetracked myself. And now this marked, like I said, a significant milestone, as Michael is believed to be the first transgender man to actually use testosterone therapy in our record books, in our history books. But Michael's journey obviously was far from over, as you could guess. So in 1942, a chance encounter during a hospital stay for head surgery connected him with a plastic surgeon. And this rare specialty at the time would prove crucial for Michael's transition. The surgeon performed a double mastectomy for Michael, and for those who may not know what a mastectomy is, it's more for the kids, of course. Basically getting your breasts removed, your tops removed, right? Likely making him the first recipient also of who we now know called top surgery, right? So he got his breast removed from the top. So, however, the most groundbreaking chapter of Michael's medical journey was yet to come. So, like I said, let me rewind you, right? We got the testosterone being the first man known, in our record books at least, to take testosterone, and also being the first man to actually get top surgery, right? So here we go. We got the two groundbreaks. Now we got one more coming. So in 1946, he met a doctor by the name of Harold Gillies, who was a pioneer in modern plastic surgery. Now, Dr. Gillies agreed to perform phalloplasty for Michael, which is a series, like I said, of surgeries that took place really at this time between 1946, and 1949. Like I said, this procedure at the time, which became known as the Gillies technique, involved at least 13 surgeries and was short of revolutionary for its time. So phalloplasty, as we all know, has evolved so much. as you think about now into 2024. Yeah, 2024. What am I about to say? 2004, 2024. And back in 1946 to 49, the process is a lot different for what we know now, for what we know then, right? So that's kind of just to give you a picture of um, at one point, I don't know how many surgeries it normally takes. I know some friends of mine who kind of have to go back and forth sometimes to get additional surgeries. But I don't think it's 13. That sounds a little high. And I know it's not 13. I don't know what I'm saying. Like, I'm not certain on that number. I know it's not. But back then it was 13 before it could be kind of condensed down to what we know today. So as you can imagine, the courage really won. Like I said, we think about the time Michael had to actually undergo these surgeries, right? There were no support groups at this time. There were no online forums. Like I said, we're talking about 1940s. There's no academic studies to kind of like really reassure him. He was really, truly venturing into uncharted territory, right? Really driven by his desire to align his body with his true identity, right? So the Gillies technique, while primitive by today's standards, laid the foundation really for modern phalloplasty procedures today. It evolved really creating a tube at this time from abdominal skin with a urethral extension made from another section of the skin, forming a tube within a tube, right? Quote unquote. And this technique will actually influence future developments in gender affirming surgeries for decades to come, which is today. But Mike was more than just like a medical pioneer, right? He was also a scholar and an author. So, in fact, he actually published a book that was essentially a plea for transgender rights, disguised really as a lecture on hormones. And in his groundbreaking work, he described the loneliness of transgender individuals, argued for sex reassignment surgery, and even proposed that the British government should subsidize hormone treatments. Like I said, remember, this is the 1940s. So, Michael was truly, truly ahead of his time. um, so after completing his medical studies at Trinity College, Michael worked as a ship's doctor. Really traveling the world for about 6 years, and his journey of self discovery really wasn't even over yet at this time. He became drawn to spiritual exploration. So Mike actually found himself in India and immersed himself in Buddhist studies. In the twist of fate that most people might say is kind of like poetic in a way. Michael Wood has spent so much of his life really seeking alignment between his inner self and his outer body, and found that in Buddhism. He moved where he was ordained as a novice monk and actually took a different name at this time while he was actually in Ladakh. And I meant to Google Translate this when I was writing my script and I forgot. Sidetracking. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing this right. For those who may be new here, I like to translate my words so I can make sure I say it right, even though I still might say it terribly. Not that button. Ladakh. Ladakh is that's what Google Translate is telling me. It's still probably wrong, and I'm probably still saying it incorrectly. But Ladakh. And this ordination was significant, not really just for Michael, but for his Buddhist history as well. He became the first white European man to be ordained and let me get this right too. I want to say the right Buddhist tradition as well. Bear with me. Tibetan Buddhist tradition. But sadly, Michael's life was actually cut short where he ended up passing away in a hospital in India in 1962 at the age of 47 before he could complete his journey to become a full monk. But as we all know, from the story I just kind of explained, and as you may read at your own time, his impact on transgender history and rights were already cemented at this time. So for those who may be new here, I always like to do key takeaways from my um, from my research and kind of just give like high level really quick before I close out. So key takeaways I would like to talk about in Michael's life is the first one being he pioneered. for medical transition procedures, including, like I said, hormone therapy and phalloplasty. Like I said, being one of the first female to male individuals to actually do this procedure. Like, so we're talking about the 1940s. Like, I can't even imagine. He also authored groundbreaking works on transgender experiences during this time as well. Demonstrated incredible courage by undergoing, like I said, really more experimental surgeries, right? Without the modern support systems that we have today, right? We don't have, like I said, this we're talking about going to here really blind, y'all. With getting hormone therapy, with getting top surgery, with getting phalloplasty, no type of information, no type of medical research, no type of scientific research, nothing. This is crazy, but worked, right? He pursued a diverse really life path, right? Going from medicine to spirituality, showcasing his multifaceted nature of transgender individuals. Became, like I said, the first white European man to be ordained. Um, and let me say it right again. Tibetan Buddhist tradition. His life challenges, really those misconceptions about the historical presence of transgender individuals. Obviously, this is what this whole podcast is about. But like I said, him being the first one, I feel like I have to reiterate that line. And it paved the way for future advancement in gender affirming care and transgender rights as we know of today. So when we think about Mike's legacy, the key things I talked about obviously before are the biggest things there. That's one of the key takeaways. And his impact on transgender history. First and foremost, Michael was a trailblazer before any of us can even think about it when we think about the medical field. Um, being the first to being the first to use, I'm sorry, hormone therapy, top surgery, phalloplasty, these procedures, like I said at this time, opened the door for, like I said, future advancement in gender affirming care today. Being able to continue to write about his experience, being able to like use that experience that he written about to advocate for the rights and the needs of transgender individuals today to help lay that groundwork for future activism and the awareness that we all know of in our modern time. And like I said, the biggest one, right? Showing Michael's life challenges that notion that transgender identities are a recent phenomenon. I say not a recent phenomenon, but are a recent phenomenon, right? His experience, like I said, being in the 1940s and between like the 50s reminds us that transgender individuals have always existed. And even when society continues to lack the language and the understanding that we know of today, this is what this podcast is for, right? To prove that these things are happening, that these things have happened technically, and that we have always been here, and we should be respected and loved. Um, so as we wrap the episode, like I said, just continue to take a moment to reflect on Michael Dillon's life in a world that was not understood, couldn't accept. He had to be able to forge his own path, really, and leave behind a legacy that we know of today. Is huge. So remember, every step towards authenticity, no matter really how small you think it is, can leave a lasting impact on the world as we know of today. So before I wrap, as I always like to do, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter at the Trans Plan. If you want to follow me, the host Mar, you can follow me at mariiwrld. That's MAR3ISWRLD. If you didn't check out our nice little bonus episode that I dropped, I believe Wednesday or Thursday. If you want to learn more about transgender history, I have a book list that I created on bookshop.org. Link will be in the episode description as well, to where I provided my essential books that I've read when I first learned more about transgender history in there. So if you want to go in there and buy away, you absolutely can. Every book that you do purchase is actually donated to a local small bookstore and the artist that promotes their book on that website as well. So definitely go ahead and check out that book list that's available to you all. I will have more book lists available soon as well. So like if you want to learn more about the health side of things, for those who are new into the community, this is your first time kind of navigate your own experience about like your first year being trans or something like that. I don't really know the titles yet, thinking about it, but I have more book list coming regarding like the essential must reads I recommend. Am I missing anything? Missing anything? We are on Patreon free memberships for now until I get like my life together. And then there will be a paid way that you can get on Patreon and see all the behind the scenes and stuff like that. Um, I'm going to make a YouTube as well for the trans lesson plan. It's not going to be just these podcast episodes. It's going to be like other additional things that, like I said, maybe on like Patreon and also just like other kind of like side projects of this. So keep an eye out for that. And lastly, happy Transgender Awareness Week. I think that's really it for me, to be completely honest with you. So happy Trans Awareness Week. Like I said, a bonus episode coming out on Wednesday for Transgender Day of Remembrance. I hope that you all have a great Sunday, great start to your week. Keep your heads up. Like I said, check out the CNN article. Like I said, it's going to have a lot of support and resources available to you all as well. Bookmark it, share it, do whatever you need to do with it. And thank you so much for continuing to support this podcast. I'm sorry it was longer than usual today because it's never this long. So happy Sunday. I love you all. And as I said, check us out next Wednesday and next Sunday for brand new episodes of the Trans Lesson Plan. Peace.